This is episode 0.11 of Food Fortunes, and we've got our third ever comedian on the show, Steve Cohen. What's up, Steve? Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
I see in your bio that you actually work in the food industry, or I guess close to the food industry.
I'm food adjacent, yeah. I own my own company for natural foods and supplements and skincare. I do work for a coffee company and for a superfood company, so I'm constantly surrounded by food. It's great.
I'm going to shuffle the deck here in front of the camera.
No cheating, Jesse.
Such high stakes over here.
I wonder if steak is one of the cards.
All right, let's take our first card. Let's see what we get. Oh, we got dessert first today. We got the scoop.
All right.
Yeah, it's ice cream. It's an ice cream card.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm a huge fan of ice cream. You know how you get like the measuring spoon set for cooking? I've started using the 1/8 teaspoon for eating ice cream because I'll get a Ben & Jerry's, and if I have like a regular size, I'll just be like, bam. With the 1/8 teaspoon, I'm a lot slower with it. I actually really experience the ice cream more. I don't know. And there's a lot. I'm like, I better get this down.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a bellyache soon.
I learned that lesson like too old. I want to say like 35 by the time I realized I don't have to take giant bites of the chocolate bar.
What chocolate bars do you eat?
I like Ritter. It's like, I don't know, European or German or something. For chocolate candy, I like Reese's a lot.
Okay. Reese's is wonderful. I love peanut butter. I have been really into the dark bars. So like the 85, 90% dark chocolate.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man.
But I really do love like a glass of dry red wine with some dark chocolate and just sit there and watch a movie. Have you had Levain cookies?
No, Levain cookies? What's that?
Levain cookies was this couple would make protein cookies before their marathons, and people would try them and they'd be like, oh, this is delicious. You should sell these.
You mentioned peanut butter before. Since you're on the topic of cookies too, there's the one called the Tonight Dough. I don't know if they still make it.
I'll be right back. I ate it. They still make it. I ate it already. I don't have
1/8 of a spoon at a time.
I don't have any ice cream in my fridge.
Is that your go-to then?
Ben & Jerry's is my go-to. I love the New York Super Fudge Chunk a lot. Netflix and Chill, though. Have you ever had Netflix and Chill? It's got peanut butter. It's got pretzels in it.
I'm into the pretzel big time. I love that stuff. I like crunchy stuff in the ice cream for sure.
I love multiple textures inside of ice cream, and that's what I like about the New York Super Fudge Chunk is you have soft, you have milky, and then you've got crispy, crunchy.
I'm a Ben & Jerry's guy too.
I pulled up the Netflix and Chill just so I could tell you what was in it. It's peanut butter ice cream with sweet and salty pretzel swirls and fudge brownie. I feel like that's a great fit for you.
Brownies are like the one thing I bake very often. It's like my favorite thing to make. Anything more to say about ice cream before we do the next card?
Have a banana split. It's healthy for you.
All right, let's see what we got next.
All right,
check it out. We got this card, the Vietnamese. It's banh mi.
Excellent. My vegetarian, polyamorous, Jewish ginger lawyer loves banh mi. Really, he's my good friend, but I like to call people by a job to like make them less than human. We used to go to the place on McDougal Street a lot. He'd get the vegetarian one, and I'd usually go for the chicken, and we'd get the sweet potato fries and the Vietnamese iced tea. Of all the horrible things that happen to a country, the food fusion between Asian and French, the way that those two things came together to create their food scene out there is absolutely amazing. So it was a fun little shop. I think it was cash only. There would always be a line. Just really delicious, straightforward food. It was very no nonsense. I worked at a pho joint when I was 21 and I was living here, and I never had the pho. And I've never really been a big pho fan. I love how much of a punch ramen gives you. I feel like pho is just a little bit too polite for me.
I've said it on this show before. It's too weak of a broth for me.
What are Vietnamese desserts? I feel like Vietnamese desserts are supposed to be really good, but I can't even remember what Vietnamese desserts are. So the whole like the French, intermixing with Asian influences for that banh mi. I also think it's really interesting how many Korean French style bakeries there are. It's really amazing to see like that mix of like, here's some matcha and here's an eclair. You've got a matcha eclair.
I can literally go online and order like any kind of cuisine I want and they'll bring it to my door, and that's crazy.
That's one of the coolest things about globalism. I know that there's like a lot of horrible things that have happened, obviously.
What do you think is in this sandwich? Like, what are we looking at with banh mi? I know there's a sliced cucumber in there. Yeah, what do we got there? We got some sliced carrots.
There's jalapenos on the top. You can see a little bit of, I think that's cilantro, which I have to ask for no cilantro.
Those onion slivers?
I can't quite tell. It could be. But those cucumbers look really nicely sliced.
Yeah, very high quality.
Yeah, it adds a nice little texture to it.
Yeah, the closest I have to this, like recently, is Num Pang, and that's not really a real banh mi. It's like a Cambodian take on banh mi.
Yeah, that's very good though too.
Let's grab another one. You're not going to like this. It's your favorite soup.
Aye, fantastic. It could be pho, but it could also be ramen.
Let me check the book.
There is an egg in there.
It's ramen.
Oh, okay. All right. Jin Ramen has a miso ramen that really decided my ramen taste for me. Before that, I would have the shio or the shoyu spicy. Miso is like the number 4 ramen in Japan. It's in vogue, but it's still not the most popular.
Because it's not traditional.
Exactly. But you were talking about that lack of flavor that the pho has. And miso ramen just has so much flavor and there's so much going on. Have you ever done hallucinogenic drugs? It feels like that moment where the drug takes over, but you realize that the drug doesn't want to do anything bad to you or anyone else, and that you're completely safe and you can sit back and enjoy the show. That's what miso ramen is for me. And I like it spicy. I'll get a like spicy garlic paste that you can put in. I really like to get the kaidama, which is the extra noodles, the kimchi, which is a Korean dish, but it seems like you can find kimchi in any Asian restaurant now. It seems like everybody else is just like, okay, kimchi wins. If coronavirus is still going on while you're watching this, studies have come out that fermented cabbage is supposedly really good for keeping you from getting coronavirus. Scientific study. I don't know how this came out or how it came about, but I've recently read that if you have low vitamin D, it's probably a good chance that you're going to get coronavirus. And if you're eating cabbage, sauerkraut, or kimchi, less of a chance.
I'm going to take your advice on that.
Eat it. You can cut this out. It also makes your
okay.
Eat cranberries or pineapple to balance that out. Sorry. It's a food show.
It just became an X-rated show.
A food show. Cut that part out. I'm a clean comic.
All right, let's see what we got in the next card. What is that? It's a strawberry shortcake, right?
The delicate one. Yeah, that sounds like strawberry shortcake. I didn't have a lot of strawberry shortcake opportunities. Jupiter is on the cusp of the deep south, close enough to hear the banjos, but it's also close enough to hear salsa music coming from Miami. Peach cobblers, I feel like that is what we got in my part of Florida. Is cobblers a thing in the Miami area?
When I was a kid, it was pastelitos. I don't know. I was into cookies when I was a kid.
Was there a lot of flan?
My grandmother made a pumpkin flan that was out of this world. It was the greatest thing ever.
I want the pumpkin flan.
That, and she used to make incredible rice pudding. Pumpkin flan and rice pudding and pastelitos is pretty much what I grew up on, like guava pastries.
I loved flan growing up. We didn't get a lot of opportunities for flan. When I was down in Florida, my sisters kept ordering it, and I didn't have any while I was down, and now I regret that, thinking of how good flan is. Strawberry shortcake is wonderful. My mom would make them occasionally, not as often as cobbler. But there is something really, really nice and comforting, though, about how simple strawberry shortcake is. It's strawberries and some compote, some whipped cream on top of like a really nice, soft little cake. It's very straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know strawberry shortcake was a food. I always thought it was just the name of a cartoon.
All of the characters on that cartoon, all the good guys, were different desserts.
I never put that together until way later.
Strawberry shortcake, great cartoon.
I like berries a lot. I'm into everything here, you know? All of this stuff here, super into it. If somebody put a strawberry shortcake in front of me, I'd eat it. You know, I usually prefer chocolate stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can put a strawberry shortcake in front of me and I'll eat it too.
All right, let's see what we got in the next one. Oh, man, we were talking about this earlier. It's steak. Look at
Awesome.
that.
Do you enjoy a good steak?
I will usually, if I eat red meat or steak, it's because like I bought one and I cooked it. When I go to a place and order a steak, I always feel like it's a ripoff.
It is. It absolutely is if it's your own money. However, if you're going on a business dinner, it's worth the price. Some companies paying for it. If I'm cooking at home, I like the Denver cut. It's an off cut. I really like the off cuts because they're usually a little bit less expensive. People aren't going after them just because they're not traditional, but that doesn't mean that they aren't delicious. A little bit more chewing on that cut, but a lot more flavorful. But then you bring it home. I'll do it 2.5 minutes on each side on top of the stove, and then I'll throw it in. I think it's 350 to 400, 3 minutes in there, and then I'll take it out, put it back on the stovetop, and then I cover it to seal in the juices.
I don't buy red meat super often. Sometimes I have this craving for it and I'll like go out of my way to deal with it.
I'm a huge fan of steak. If I'm at a restaurant and someone else is paying and I feel comfortable with how much money that person has, I will definitely get steak though. There is something very nice about having steak in front of you and you've got all those sides. The sides are beautiful that come with steak. If you did get steak out, where would you get steak?
Latin American restaurants to get steak. I love eating Latin places, like any kind of mom and pop place. They have platters, you basically get a platter and it'll be like a pork rind and a little steak and an egg and some rice and some beans, that kind of stuff. Like I love that kind of shit.
But
I like
yeah,
steak, but it's a pretty rare thing for me. I didn't mean to pun, but whatever. Here we are.
I do like my steak rare to medium rare. Like I don't want to cook too much.
I mean, for me, the least cooked steak as safe as it could be is what I'm looking for. I will eat a red steak, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be cooked enough to kill off whatever.
All right, man, here we go. Last card. Page of mains, which is chicken strips.
Okay. So chicky tendies, Baby Yoda's favorite food. I don't have anything against fried food other than I can't eat a lot of it without it making me dumb.
It affects your cognitive ability?
So when you're digesting food, I think it takes up to like 90% of your brain power sometimes to break down your food. So like that's why you'll feel kind of stupid after a really big meal because your stomach is now just working to crush the food and acidify the food, and then your intestines are trying to get the food to absorb and all this stuff.
That explains a lot. There's a place around the corner here that they make this incredible fried chicken thigh sandwich. It's definitely a special thing. I can't have it often because I'll eat that sandwich. I'll eat half the tater tots that it comes with, and then I'll just be sleepwalking for hours. I will go into a fog.
That being said, there is something really wonderful about frying fat and protein. It's really important having the right dipping sauce. I'm a huge fan of Stubbs barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah, I love Stubbs. This thing's nice too because this has the dipping sauces on it as well.
Okay, that is nice. I like that honey mustard is up there with it. I do appreciate that honey mustard is really important. What is S&S supposed to be?
Sweet and sour.
And then the infinity sauce.
I'm going to say chipotle mayo.
I really love fried buffalo chicken. And on top of that, fried buffalo chicken with mozzarella cheese and French fries inside of a wrap with some grilled onions inside of it. That is delicious.
Any closing remarks on the meal here?
This would be like an interesting 6-course meal to start with ice cream, go to a banh mi, go to a ramen, strawberry shortcake steak, chicken fingers. Just end it with fried food. Yeah, no, I would pass out. But I like what you had to say earlier. We really need to start to know where our food's coming from better. It would be really great if our politicians that are in our age range that are starting to come into power would start pushing for a lot more transparency there because there's just no transparency.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. This was really fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a great time.